Well, this is a first, at least for YouTube anyway. And if you were confused by the button eyes, this is the first video I'm posting to YouTube of me making one of my rag dolls. And I know she doesn't look like it yet, but in this video I will be making one of the most elusive characters in Sailor Moon, Sailor Cosmos. Because if Toa is too cowardly to make her any merch, then by God I'll do it myself. So after assembling the body and sewing the wig cap onto the head, I started working on the skirt, and after pleating it in the front and back in certain places, I started hand sewing these pieces of iridescent white sequin I had in my sequin stash onto the skirt for some trim. Because the canon design for Cosmos has a very plain white skirt, and I like to give my dolls a little bit of pizzazz. And by pizzazz, I just mean a lot of sparkle. And I can already hear the comments now. And yes, it did take forever, but the end result was worth it. And here is what it looks like once all of the sequin was sewn on. Doesn't it look gorgeous? And now we move on to the most important part of the skirt, the rainbow striped panel at the front. And I created the rainbow stripes with, guess what? More sequin! This was definitely the hardest part of making the entire doll because I had to redo this whole panel 3 times. Which meant beating all of this sequin on, getting to a point where I couldn't fit a color on there, undoing all of the sequin with a seam ripper, and then doing it all over again. And 3rd time was the charm because I remade the panel itself by making it bigger by, I think, 5/8 inch seam allowance on either side, and it ended up working a lot better. And it also kind of gave each color room to breathe, if that makes any sense. Also, while I'm thinking about it, because I know somebody's gonna comment on it, this coming out during Pride Month was actually a coincidence. This doll was supposed to be complete around last month, but it just did not end up working out because of how long it took me to beat all of this stuff, and I had other things going on. So this rainbow-clad Sailor Guardian coming out during Pride Month was a happy accident. Oh yeah, and I think you guys might find this funny. I did not have to buy a single new color of sequin for this. I already had all the different colors I needed, all in my sequin stash. Oh yeah, by the way, I have a massive hoard of sequin. I cut a whole lot of me beating the rest of the colors out, but you can really see it start coming together the more colors I added on there. And I think it really started coming together when I put the purple in there. It just looked so good next to that pink. And after adding one last strip of black sequin, which you can't see in this shot, but I swear it's there, it was done. And it was time to move on to the bane of my existence, the glove rolls. Now before Cosmos, I have only ever made one other Sailor Guardian into a plushie before, and that was when I was starting out making these dolls, like maybe 3 years ago, and I have learned so much since then, so these glove rolls came out so much better than my first attempt. Poor Saturn. Moving on to the stars that are at the top of her skirt and her sailor collar, I made the stars out of metallic gold felt, which is a real thing apparently, and I found it on accident, and I love it. Now for the gold stripes on her sailor collar, I hand embroidered those using a metallic gold embroidery thread, which was a nightmare to work with, but the end result was worth it. It just took a lot longer. And it also looks great in pictures. I discovered that when taking pictures of the doll after it was done. And you know what? While I'm thinking about it, is anybody else really salty that we never got any official merch of Cosmos? Heck, even fan merch is super rare for this character, but still. If we don't get at least an SH Figuarts figure of her for the Sailor Moon Cosmos movie when it comes out, I will riot. I mean, it's named after her, come on. LOL, hashtag justice for Cosmos. Anyway, after a good 2 or 3 hours of hand embroidering, this is what it looks like, all done. And now here I am hand sewing the shoes because they were too small for me to machine sew. I mean, I could do it in theory, but that would take a lot more seam allowance, and it's just easier for me to hand sew it like this. And of course, I cannot forget the wings on the sides. And now it's time to move on to the hair. For her heart-shaped Odango buns, because they're such a unique shape, I decided to hand stitch them as well because I was not about to go through a bunch of trial and error trying to machine sew these. Plus, said trial and error would have made me waste a lot of felt, and I didn't want to do that. And it took me a good long while to figure out how I was going to depict those beautiful flowing hair tails, and I ended up just making 4 of them and layering them on top of each other so that they didn't look too see-through because that felt was kind of thin. And to keep up with the sequin beaded extraness of the skirt, I also made her Odango shields almost entirely out of sequin, with the base being that same metallic gold felt I used for the stars. And I also used a smaller size of the same sequin I used for the skirt trim so that they would match. And there you can see the bangs still pinned on, not fully attached to the head. But yeah, look at those tails. And of course, we cannot forget the gold star on her forehead. And last but not least, the pearls. And for those, I used different sizes of flatback pearl cabochons. Now before the final reveal, if you guys want to see any of the other plushies that I've made in the past, feel free to go check out my Instagram because it's basically my portfolio. This is my plushie I made of King from the Owl House. That was a recent commission I did. And here is Malleus from Twisted Wonderland, who I made for myself. And then here are a couple of other ones that I've made over the years that I think turned out the best. And I'm not gonna lie to you, Salem was my personal favorite out of all of them. And now for the final reveal of Miss Sailor Cosmos. By far the most extra doll I have made so far. And I am so happy with how she came out. So now I'm just gonna let the work speak for itself as well as the detail shots. Also, while I'm here, this whole shot right here is of more white beaded sequin that I put on the trim of her cape, because Cosmos also has a cape. And what did I tell you? That thread looks great on camera and in pictures. And here is where I lifted up the cape to reveal that I also put 3D pearl beads around the waist where the top and the skirt meet to cover up the stitches, and because I felt like it needed something a little extra, so I gave her a pearl belt. And I also took the time to make Cosmos' staff, which means I had to hand bead that big ol' sequin orb, not once but twice for the front and the back. But even with that, I think I knocked this out in about a good 2 hours. And with this, Cosmos is officially done. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and maybe I'll make some more of these videos. And with that, I'll see you guys next time.